It looks like David Michery just delivered some much needed reassurance for Muln shareholders. Hi again, everyone. I hope you're all doing really well. So Muln has had a rocky day yesterday on Tuesday. However, we might actually start to see a little bit of stability to return to the stock come Wednesday now because of an interview that's recently come out involving CEO of the company, David Michery. So I'll give you my thoughts on that in a second, but just to recap what happened yesterday, obviously the news of the dilution of new shares being sold hit the market after hours on Monday. And so yesterday we did see a bit of a sell-off to, probably reflect that movement in the stock, that dilution in the stock, which saw the stock drop by about 13%. And as a result of this, that means the stock will once again be on the short seller restricted list, which is a somewhat positive sign, but in the past this hasn't really done too much to help the Mullen stock. It's still managed to fall by over 10% again. Even when it's been on this short seller restricted list. That aside, looking at the shorts, I'm still waiting for, some more updated data to reflect the new set of, figures for the stock into circulation, but we're still reading a little bit over 20% of the stock shorted. The days to cover has ticked back up to slightly above 1 day on average, and we still have about a 90% borrow fee there. So there's still a bit of pressure on shorts to cover if there was to be some sort of movement upwards, but nothing is really going to push it now. So flipping over to the David Michery interview. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, like I've said many times before, Cal from Financial Journey seems to be like one of the real authorities when it comes to following what's going on with Muln Automotive. He seems to get interviews with key people. He's obviously a larger channel than I am, but he had a really interesting phone call with David Michery after hours yesterday, and it cleared up a number of things. First and foremost, they spoke about what's going on with Lawrence Hodge, and it was, from the onset, listening to David Michery talk rather than listening to Lawrence Hodge, reaffirmed what many people thought in who are looking at Mullen about Lawrence Hodge, that he doesn't come across as the most professional sort of person. And obviously he's not like a typical business type. He's a self-proclaimed inventor. He is an inventor. But David Michery definitely has that corporate background, and he's such a much calmer, smoother, and thoughtful speaker, and that really came across. And that in itself is like a little bit of a sign of stability. Now, talking about the Lawrence Hodge situation, he did sort of make out why it's been a bit of a cluster, insert expletive. And that's because there's been, a bit of instability or inconsistency coming from Lawrence Hodge's end. Now, what I'm making out with that is that while they, agreed to terms for a deal and, things were going to progress, there's like phases that need to be signed off on the deal. It's it seems like, at least from David Michery's perspective, that, a lot of the holdup is actually coming from Lawrence Hodge. So Lawrence Hodge has actually changed his legal team a couple of times, it sounds like, during these proceedings, and obviously that's kind of slowed down the process. The other thing too is that Lawrence Hodge's technology still has to undertake a test on Mullen vehicles to show its use before, fully ratifying this deal. And and it's with the EPA, and Mullen has put forward 3 vehicles that this technology is to be tested on, and they're sitting there waiting with the EPA. They're just waiting for Lawrence's device to come. They have been there for a few weeks, so that's quite interesting, and nothing's really come of it. The other thing regarding Lawrence Hodge, which was quite good to know, I think, is that he kind of cleared up a bit of confusion around the Saudi Arabia deal. So just trying to get a bit of a grasp with this. So Mullen owns the majority of Mayo, as he was calling it for short, and 51% versus 49%. So Lawrence Hodge still has a significant stake. However, in the terms of the contract, Mullen doesn't have authority regarding deals for MAO in certain overseas jurisdictions. Mullen's jurisdiction over MAO is purely in the United States at the moment, it seems, and a couple of other key markets. I think Europe as well was one of them too. So the deals in the Middle East that are being brokered are Lawrence Hodge's deals. Like David Michery sort of said, I don't know, I can't speak to them, I don't know anything about them, but because Mullen owns a 51% interest, they would still receive 51% of proceeds that come from any such deal that comes out. However, the authority to negotiate and strike deals in those regions actually falls on Lawrence Hodge's team, not on the Mullen team per se. So there is a bit of that probably in my mind cleared up a bit of confusion around the contract deal and why Mullen had been so tight-lipped, because really they don't, as a listed company, they don't really have the position to actually speak on it. They can only speak on official affairs with the business, and their official affairs is the contract that they have with Lawrence Hodge and where that's progressing. So I guess Lawrence Hodge's style of being, a bit like all over the place, kind of actually is almost reflected in his corporate persona. So there was that he said in the interview, and it was really interesting. The other thing that I think Dave Michery sort of said was he sort of gave like a nice firm message, and it was quite a nice one because, he's someone who hasn't come out and spoken much in the past or in the recent past when Mullen's really been suffering. And he sort of said that he believes that, Mullen's not a company that is about to go bust, like many out in the media might be making out, and obviously people who want to see Mullen do bad will be making out. He's very confident the way the business is going, and they've got this vision of potentially being the number 2 EV pure play vehicle company in America, which is obviously very ambitious. And he sort of made the point that there's been many other new upstart EV companies that have kind of started and just kind of faded away or not really been able to try to make themselves out to reach. But he believes that Mullen is well positioned to actually really have a good crack at becoming that number 2 EV company. And he sort of said it's a very ambitious goal, and it's not that he expects to, or it's not that he thinks he's backing a loser. He actually is quite confident that they are on the right path and things are going to go out and they're not about to go under like many are making them go out. So that was actually quite a reassuring message to come from David Michery. Something that I think shareholders have long missed and yearned for from the company for quite some time. So anyway, I thought like the call was quite an interesting one, and does kind of reaffirm the people in the people's minds who are longer term investors in Mullen that the company does believe in what it's doing, and it's not just this doomed entity which is being made out to be. Obviously they didn't really speak about the dilution, but obviously that's a necessary evil to continue operations and be able to actually start to realize that scale. And like I said yesterday, that's always going to be painful for shareholders, but if you're in this for a longer term, it's kind of a necessary part of the business, is what they need to do. Yeah, anyway, I don't know if you guys have heard the David Michery call with Financial Journey. I'll drop a link for it in the description or the comments or something somewhere. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts were about that call with David Michery. Do you think it's a positive sign that he's sort of said a good message, and it's perhaps something that might bring a bit of ease to the market to for the shareholders of Mullen? Or do you still think like it was just a kind of a shallow phone call? There's not much really to take away from it. I always love to hear what you guys have to say about these sort of things. We're kind of a little bit of a community, I suppose. Yeah, share it in the comments below. And yeah, I hope everything goes well on Wednesday. May the markets trade in your favor. Cheers.